Hollywood has almost bitten its own tail in that way, because there's this underlying like valueless current, really, that's kind of like a very cheap currency.
It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood sort of adjacent, which is this side of media culture that profits from and circles, and there's a symbiotic relationship between Hollywood and, obviously, like, here I am promoting my movie and running around, and now I don't want to go on like a tabloid and do that or whatever it is, but that becomes part of that culture too. And then you have like any interview show or all these, and you're right, in a sense it is Hollywood, because if you do a movie at Universal, you know, you'll see that person's doing all NBC, Comcast owned, you know, talk shows and appearances, right? Like, it's not a coincidence, because when they do their presentation in the boardroom for Comcast to their shareholders, they go, look, we make these movies, we spend a lot of money, and then we get the stars and we plug them into all of our other shows that we also own. And there's a lot of synergy, so on and so forth. The idea, though, is like, okay, that's a kind of a tax that you end up sort of paying on your sort of life, and the one hand, and on this thing that you're trying to build, which is something that connects with people and moves them, and that they want to go out to a fucking movie theater and pay good money to see. And it makes it a little bit harder than to have to kind of go around and do all that other stuff and be like, okay, well, that's not who I really am, and that's and to try to sort of be interesting and relevant in some other way that isn't really what you kind of even wanted to do. And so you're right. It's sort of part Hollywood and also kind of Hollywood adjacent. It does eat its tail
in a way, because the acting and the creation, it's like looking at the beauty of a lake, right? It's like, this is picturesque, and this is like how they meant the waves to look, and there's a current here, and there's an inflow and outflow, and something landed in the water over here and left a ripple, and something else this is the B story, and there's a ripple. But then it's all this stuff under it, and it's almost starting to like kind of drain its own lake in a way.
It's a good metaphor, yeah, like the movie as the kind of lake, and the underneath of what's both what goes into it and what happens behind the scenes, and also what it
same thing.
And it does kind of like, it's interesting, like, if you overtax it, it lowers the lake, and all of a sudden it doesn't look like a beautiful lake. It starts to look like the low country marsh, and it pulls down. You start to see all the little black mud around the edges and the muck. And that's, I don't know how to kind of balance that. But as a director, you know, you're right. Like, I would say that's the principal way I've always kind of looked at this stuff. So it used to be that you had an actor and you had people knew less about them. And now a part of even casting for me is, what do people think of and expect this person to do and or be? And how can I have to rely on that and use that, but I also have the opportunity to kind of subvert that in a way. And so you have to be mindful, not just of the story you're telling, but what does the audience bring into the theater with them, or when they turn on television, you know, and expect.
I think that's advanced thinking, to be honest with you. Thanks. I really do.
It's just learned by lived experience mostly, you know, find out, like, I even often make mistakes, you know, like sometimes I found if I sort of, I did a movie where I had like a very blonde wig that was like a medieval.
Were you Ric Flair or something?
I wish I was Ric Flair. That would be spectacular. I'd love to play. It was actually a good movie. I really liked it. It was called The Last Duel. The point, and it was great director Ridley Scott, and he had this idea for it.
Oh yeah, Ridley Scott.
And yeah, there's the thing there. You see, and I liked if no one had, I think, had ever seen me or whatever, I thought that was really interesting. The problem is that people, I think what it did was Aaron Carter created noise around, you know, look at this hair, is this different? And we know it's a wig. Right. And so now you look at it and you go, but I know he doesn't look like that. And so it causes you to kind of think it's false. That's an example of kind of probably not being able to go that far away from myself and still have people go, okay, I can sit aside what I know and just watch this story and like it and believe in it.
Dude, that's fast. That's insider baseball, man. No, it makes total sense. It makes total sense that would start to affect how we see things. You know, there's something that's happening where it's hard to get people to believe in some of these movies, you know, and people's attention spans have changed. It's gotten interesting.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things. The fact that, like, even the online world, for example, you see now that, like, shorter and shorter and shorter, like, clips are what even my son, who's constantly showing me clips of you, by the way. So he's like, you know what I mean? So it's
is he a nice kid?
He's a great kid. Yeah, he's a fabulous kid. And he now, when I watch him like scroll. It's like he doesn't even get through the 6 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's like that, you know, and he'll like a long period of time for him is 4 or 5 seconds. And then I'm like, hey man, you know, let's watch this show or watch this movie. And it's like, he gets bored fast. He got to really love something to sit through it. And then he binges like all the episodes. Like we just sat through like, and watch, you know, Invincible, this animated show, you know, and then it's like, let's keep going. So it's this weird dichotomy of, on the one hand, it's like, no. Okay, then plug in and like mainline this one thing and eat it all up till it's gone. And yeah, so it has really changed. You didn't used to be able to like pause and select or even have that much to choose from.
Yeah.
Like that many choices is overwhelming to the mind. Like we weren't made, I don't believe, evolutionarily and as human beings to like, you know, we're supposed to be living in like a village and see about 100 people in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
Right. That's the vast majority of human history. That's how we did it. And I still feel like in a way that's how we're socialized. It's why, for example, if you're feel left out of a group, it's very painful because like in, you know, thousands of years ago, if you got left out of the village, the group, whatever, and they didn't take you to hunt, you died, right?
Oh my
you needed
God,
those people
really?
to live. And so
it hits something really limbic inside
like
of you.
and even social media, for example, you're looking at stuff and you go, damn, why is everybody else's life so good? And seeing the life you're advertising looks so fucking cool. Yeah. And my inside life feels like shit. That also is like a basic primal thing. And I think that's what, and you know, this stuff kind of touches, but the amount of information now that comes in, because really now everybody's a celebrity, right? Everybody is a celebrity. Everybody is followed. Everybody's life is out there. And
there's newborns. There's 4 months old and 1,100 followers.
And it's really like 1,100 followers is kind of, it's not any different from celebrity. It's just a matter of degree.
But this is a 4 month. He can't even open both of his eyes at the same time.
And it's like, yeah. Exactly. And that's kind of become that as the currency of, man, that looks great, you know, that like the currency of like fame in and of itself as a desirable thing. Like people go, man, I want to be rich and famous. Like take rich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, famous is not gonna make you happy.
Yeah.
It seems like it will, because it's like, oh, people will like me and know my name and kind of know who I am and I'll feel like I've done something. I think a lot of times what happens is if it doesn't come with a real sense of like achievement or accomplishment, it actually feels hollow and empty and like bullshit and undeserved.
Do you think you wanted to start directing because it gave you even more of a sense of accomplishment?
Yeah, I wanted to.
Is that a weird question? But does that make any sense?
No, it does make sense. I wanted to. I wanted to fail on my own terms, because I had gone through some movies where I was like, I don't like this, I don't agree with this, but you got to do how it's like playing a football team, whatever. You got to run the plays that the coach sets up. You know what I mean? They're gonna run a draw play, get the ball and turn around and run a sweep right because they're not blocking that way. You know what I mean? It's just that's not going to work, right? So that's how that whole art form is sort of structured by and large. And what I found was, I had a real strong sense of the way I wanted to do it. Yeah. And when it didn't work, when it worked, I didn't feel great because it wasn't me that had that feel. I didn't feel like I didn't feel proud of it. And when it didn't work, I just felt pissed off. Like, fuck, I didn't want to fucking do it. God damn, I didn't want to, I said it or I knew it. And that's a terrible feeling. So I'd rather fail on my own terms or succeed on my own terms.